Hi guys, and welcome back to the Devine Witch. I'm your host, the Devine Witch. Today we're going to be talking about duality within the circle, Chaos Edition. So make sure you've subscribed, hit the notification bell to all notifications, like the video, and comment down below. What do you want us to tackle next? Without further ado, let's dive in. Hey guys, and welcome back to our discussion. So today, like I told you guys, we are going to talk about duality within the circle. So what does duality in the circle mean for me? Duality in the circle is what I like to refer as the circle casting that I do when I'm casting a circle. Now, as you guys have watched some of my other chaos videos, if you haven't, then this may not make a whole lot of sense because I use a lot of different references from the past, but hopefully, you'll stop this video, go watch those, and then come back. So when it comes to duality within the circle, most people will think of, bringing in light for protection or summoning, darker energies forth. But when it comes to chaos magic, like I've said many times before, chaos is a balance of the darkness and the light, which when you bring them together brings a neutral, a gray area. And I'm going to go into that along with different techniques for the cone of power, what the vortex theory is. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and let's dive in. So I got this written down. I'm going to read what I wrote, and then I'm going to have a discussion with you guys. When it comes to using guardian or guardians of the 4 cardinal directions, what comes to mind is news. The reason that I set it up this way is because north, east, west, south, because I kind of abbreviated it because other classes and things like that. So however you do the directions, counter, other clockwise, mix matched, it's up to you. Because there are overseers of these directions and the in between. So basically what I'm saying here is each direction has its own guardian. Now, there's a difference between guardian and guardians, okay? A guardian is calling upon the specific entity that controls and oversees all that direction has. Now, guardians, or elementals, as some may call them, are what falls underneath that branch. So with north, we normally associate that with earth, so forth, so on. So when you're calling, you want to be specific depending upon what you're trying to bring forth. If you don't care, you can use the guardians. Then you're going to get everything that falls around your area for that certain direction and element that's associated with it, and the elements that are associated with the element. Do you understand what I'm saying? So normally when I do any kind of circle casting, I always say guardian, because I'm looking for the specific one for that actual direction, not everything and anything in between. Because if you know anything about elementals, not all are favorable for the human race. So, with that being said, when it comes to the in-between directions, it's not only one direction we are working with, but 2 simultaneously at the same time. So, I'm going to show you what I mean, and then we're going to kind of go in more into it. Okay, so I wrote this down earlier. Give me a little second here. So, north, south, east, west, right? These are the ones that you're familiar with. Now we got northwest, we got northeast, southeast, and southwest. These are the in-between, okay? So it's kind of where we're at right now. Stick with me. Now when it comes to the in-betweens, you're probably asking, okay, what does that have to do? See, like I was telling you before, how our normal cardinal directions have a guardian or guardians associated with them, we have the same thing for the in-between. So that's kind of why I brought it up, just to kind of give you that. Now, what are the in-betweens? The in-betweens is when you take 2 elements or 2 directions, and let's say they basically had a child, right? So this child has both attributes of earth and air, okay? So imagine, having a family gathering, okay? And all of the, north, south, east, and west, those are the parents, right? And the in-betweens are like the children that were brought from the pairing of those two elements. So let's go ahead and go on. Okay, so blending in between directions are normally used within chaos magic realms, at least within my personal practice that I'm showing you. Instead of calling upon the news, we would call upon the in-between. Now, I do want to elaborate on this some, that it depends on what you're doing. If you're trying to pull all of the energy, then you're going to not only call on the in-between, but you're going to call upon the actual four directions as well. And it's going to add that extra oomph. It's like when you get a family reunion and everybody's being crazy, but you got so much energy and vibrations going on, it's really intense. So before you all decide to call on both at the same time, you need to have a moment of clarity, and this is why I say this. Magic itself is an energy working, no matter what you're doing, no matter if you're circle casting, dressing a candle, whatever it may be. So when you're calling on these guardians or guardian to come forth, you are bringing in that chaos that directions bring, which it can amplify your work, but it can also drain you of your work. So imagine it's like any other entity. There is always a sacrifice. There is always something that needs to be present for that sacrifice. So with that being said, normally when you have north, you're going to have either dirt or rocks or something around that nature. So remember, whenever you're doing the in-betweens, you need to have something that represents both of those elements into one. For instance, if I did, let's say, north and east, right? We've got earth and air. How do I combine earth and air? Well, if you think about it, if you think of different things that can be made with those two, what are they that you can use? One of the things that I like to use for Southwest is like a stoned lava rock, because you get that fire, but also you get that coolness of when, it cools down and you got that water going on it, and then over time it solidifies and becomes something different. So whatever it is for the in-betweens, that's the direction that you've chosen. Make sure you have something to represent, or an offering that represents that element that can be given to them, so it's not taking that much energy. Even though we give something, if they want to take energy, it really depends. It depends on what type of work you're doing. So just kind of keep that in mind. So, like I said, with the different types of magic and the different types of working, I practice gray magic, so I do a balance of both. For me, that is chaos magic. And, we're going to go a little bit deeper into, guardians versus guardian versus guardians. Because I really do want to push that a little bit, because I do think that is something that gets lost along the way that most people don't realize. So if you're trying to summon every elemental around you, then say guardians. If not, say guardian. And then, with the elemental representation, I'm going to talk about that as well. But before I get into this section, I want you guys to remember the compass itself is only about 2,000 years old. And the actual chaos symbol itself is fairly new. But the similarities between the two is something that I kind of want to bring up. So you see how this is set up, right? And then look at this. This is one of the normal chaos symbols that you'll see. It's not perfect, but neither am I. So if you look, and if they were just overlapping each other, do you see the correlation here? When it comes to chaos magic, and it comes to this chaos symbol. So that's kind of what I'm saying, when it comes to directions. There's many different things you can theorize and put together whenever you're doing chaos magic. And that's something that I put together. Another thing that I'm going to show you right now. So if you guys looked at that, and you looked at the Wheel of the Year, You put that chaos symbol in there, put that compass in there, look at the similarities. And if you look at it, so every holiday within that wheel would be associated with a different guardian. So, me personally, when I get into certain holidays, I like to call upon that certain guardian in my own personal practice. Now, when I'm out and about and I'm doing it in a general speaking, I'll just call the normal, north, south, east, and west, because it's something people are familiar with, and it doesn't seem so invasive and them going, why are we just calling one? You know what I mean? And then you have to go through the explanation. So, if we use spirits and guardians within our path, it is known a price must be paid. At least the path I personally follow, which I've went over with you guys. When it comes with news, it will be simple things as representation, which I also went over. Now down below, which I'm going to be showing you guys here in a second, is a diagram that is a visual representation of our circle and our personal space. So, when you're looking at it, imagine, okay, so this is a compass, right? And you guys are going to see it here in a little bit. Imagine the spiral going down. This is going to be your higher self, right? And then right down below that, it's going to be the opposite, which is going to be your lower, darker energies. And let's say this is the middle ground, and imagine this is up here too, right? So there's a middle ground, and you're the middle ground, okay? Earth, our realm, is the middle ground between this light and this dark perspective, right? So here we are in between, and we're casting. So whenever you're casting, this kind of deals with, the cone of power, the vortex theory, and all that fun jazz. When we are casting and we are drawing in the elements, we're not only doing that for the higher vibration, but we're also doing it for the lower vibration. We're not also drawing down energy, we're raising up energy, and then it becomes a spiral effect, okay? So then those energies of light and dark start mixing in between, and you get that perfect neutrality within our realm. Which, I'm going to show you that right now. Now, with that being said, how do we bring in elements? How do we get rid of elemental pentagrams and stuff like that? Because if you think about it, and I'm going to show you eventually here in a little bit another photo, each of these key points has a pentacle that you can start with for invoking and evoking and all that fun jazz, right? To bring in and to banish away. Now, a lot of people that I know don't really use this technique. They just say their words, do whatever needs to be done. But for those who are more either into ceremonial magic, it is customary. So, like, let's say I'm doing air. I would start my pentacle like this with my athame, my wand, or even a finger or pencil. And this would be the banishing movement. But if I was bringing it in, it would be an opposite way, right? So that is something that I want to tell you guys. It's very simple stuff that most of us know already. But if you don't, just look into it. Let's see. What else do I got for you guys today with this whole lesson? But as I was saying, like, when it comes with the duality and the circle, with everything that we went over, here's some key things for you guys to remember. One, with chaos, you can use chaos however you want. If you want to use all light, use all light. If you want to use all dark, use all dark. Me personally, for chaos to be effective, if you use all light, you're not really doing chaos magic, in my opinion. If you're doing all dark, you're doing chaos magic, but you're not adding the equalizer and bringing that in. Because when we do chaos magic, it is all about control, taking the craziness and molding it to what we want it to be. And the same thing goes with the basics. So if we're doing basics, just simple, and we're not bringing in those chaos elements of the things like the in-between, then we're leaving out core things that could be helping us amplifying our work and pushing it out there. And when we think of rising power, the power cone, or as some as I've heard it, call it like a vortex because it's just forever spinning around us, right? It can either start within the ground and work its way up or work its way up to down. Me personally, when I visualize it, I visualize my plane of existence as like a middle ground, a Midgard, as you would. And I can bring in certain energies, take it, manipulate it, form it, and create something new on this plane of existence by using the energies from different planes around me. It's almost like when people were like, well, you know, I want to astral project, but I'm scared of it. And my personal philosophy, like especially if you get into astral travel and you're doing more within the realms of those energies, and you're not just going somewhere here locally within our plane of existence, then there's things that you can obtain on these planes and bring with you, and then use that within your magic. It's not hard to do. There's certain energies you can place inside of you when you're in these certain areas, and then when you come back to reality, it is part of you, and then you can use those energies to amplify things around you, which is going to be the next thing in our series when it deals with chaos magic, is allowing certain entities to use your body and to use certain energies from different realms to amplify the magic and chaos. So if you guys like this video, please let me know. Leave a like, leave a comment, and as always, make sure to subscribe. And don't ever forget, no two witches witch alike.